It's easy to get lost and get confused and get caught up as we, live our daily life and try to find some deeper peace and a deeper sense of well-being. And if you're familiar with my book or my work at all, I talk a lot about the topic of learning how to love yourself and how most of us never learned how to love ourselves. And when I say love ourselves, I mean value ourselves, respect ourselves, express ourselves, believe in ourselves, and trust ourselves. And in fact, what I really explore in the book, and unfortunately have had to explore deeply in my own life, is how much I learned to hurt myself growing up. And when I say hurt myself, mentally with my thoughts, I learned to think and talk to myself pretty negatively. I learned emotionally to keep in a lot of what I was feeling and hurt myself that way. And I've worked with enough people to know that everybody sitting here has also struggled with those same topics. So tonight I thought I would outline what I identify as the 4 keys to practically loving yourself or practically valuing yourself. If you have a notebook, this is really important to write down. It's probably the most important thing that you could ever understand in your whole life. And I would make the bold statement that these 4 things are the most important 4 things that could be found in any book in this whole bookstore. There's a lot of books, a lot of good energy. But on our spiritual and healing journey, it's very easy to get lost and confused as we go down the rabbit hole, as we go deeper and deeper into our mind, as we go deeper and deeper into our heart, as we go deeper into our physical body, and as we go deeper into the energy that makes up our being and the entire universe. And you can get lost playing in all kinds of cool ideas. But when it comes to what practically, most effectively improves the quality of your health, your life, and your relationships in the present, there are some clear answers that are overlooked and I think misunderstood. So the first key is expressing our feelings honestly and kindly. So for example, if you think about your life right now, I guarantee everyone sitting in the room has a situation or a relationship in your life where you're probably not being 100% honest because of fear, guilt, or shame. Can anybody relate to that, where it's hard to talk about something you're feeling or thinking because you feel scared of someone's reaction or how it might affect them, or you feel guilt about feeling the way you feel, or you feel shame for feeling the way you feel. And then, so besides just being afraid to express ourselves, a lot of us have not really learned a very graceful, effective form of communication. And so, for example, if I feel hurt and I feel angry, I typically might say, "Fuck you, you bitch," or "Get away from me, you asshole," because most of us learned a very aggressive form of communication instead of being able to say things like, "I feel really hurt and angry," or "This situation doesn't feel good to me," or "The way we're relating," or "The way you're talking to me doesn't feel good." And so the key to doing that is learning to say phrases like, "I feel," "I need," "I want." And that's how you take responsibility for what you're feeling instead of blaming other people. And when you blame other people, it just sets in motion more drama, and you get stuck in that habit and that pattern for more time, and you kind of waste more time hurting yourself and other people. So the first one is expressing yourself honestly and kindly, because when you do it kindly, then you don't regret what you said to someone, right? If I say, "Fuck you, you asshole," yeah, I might think I'm expressing myself, I'm sticking up for myself, I feel strong, I feel empowered, but then afterwards you're not going to actually feel great about yourself if you said something in a hurtful way or in a distasteful way, because deep down there's a part of you that knows you really want to treat other people the same way you want to be treated. And so you really want to speak to people the way that you want to be spoken to. But most of us didn't have very good examples of this growing up because our parents didn't have good examples, and a lot of them didn't set very good examples for us. So does that make sense? Express yourself honestly and kindly, okay? The second one is to act in alignment with what you feel. Because how often do you feel something, but then you go and you do the opposite? In the present moment, in your day-to-day life, you might feel, you know what, it's not really good for me, or it's not really healthy for me to do this thing, or it's not healthy for me, it doesn't feel good to me to go spend time with this person, or I know it's not healthy for me to text that guy, or to text that girl, but then you go and do it anyways because of some kind of compulsion, like a habit, an addiction. And really the addiction is to hurting ourselves because that's our habit. That's all we've known since we were really little. So the key is to be really aware of what you're feeling and then to act in alignment with it, even if it's so hard not to call the person or not to text the person or not to pick up the phone or not to go to the place that you keep going to that you know keeps hurting you. Okay, does that make sense? Number 2, act in alignment with what you feel. Okay, everybody with me? Now again, let's make this practical. Think about your life right now, today. I guarantee everybody in the room has got one thing in your heart, in your body, you feel is the right thing for you to do, but you're not doing it. Why? Because of fear, guilt, and shame. And so when you don't act in alignment with what you're feeling, you hurt yourself. In the same way, you don't express what you're feeling honestly and kindly, you hurt yourself. Okay? That's 2. Everybody got that? Okay? Again, what I'm outlining for you is how you practically love and value yourself. No bullshit. We all know about taking a bath, getting a massage, eating right, etc. But these are the 4 keys that are overlooked, misunderstood, and not really spoken clearly enough to. Take time and space for yourself. And then there's a few key components to that. To take time and space for yourself to just be, so you can just be with yourself, so you can do what? Feel your feelings, be aware of your thoughts, listen to your intuition, decompress from your day, decompress from your relationship, so you can think for yourself and not be influenced so much by the people around you or the media around you or the billboards or your phone. So you take time and space just to be and to feel. Part of that then too becomes to move at your natural rhythm when you take time and space for yourself, because most of us, since we were little kids, have been waking up to an alarm clock, rushing off to school, and then as we get older we wake up to an alarm clock and we rush off to work or more university, or we're kind of always on the go, rushing, anxious. Our survival habits kick in, our survival fears and stress, so we wake up and we just rush from one thing to the next. We tend to get caught up with people and not have a lot of time and space for ourselves, just to really be with our body, our emotions, our thoughts. And then with that is to take time and space to do the things that nourish us. So when you have that time and space for yourself to feel, to listen to your intuition, to listen to your instinct, and then to do the things that nourish you, whether it's read a book or go for a walk or come to a talk or take a bath or take a nap, have a cup of tea, meet up with a friend you haven't seen in a long time. Okay, that's the 3rd one. Does that make sense? Take time and space for yourself to be, to feel, to listen to your intuition, to move at your own pace, to nourish yourself, do things that nourish you. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, the 4th one is take care of your mind. So if you're writing this down, write take care of your mind, and I'm going to break that down. Take care of your mind. How many people in the room have heard the perspective that you are not the voice in your head? How many people have heard that? You are not the voice in your head. Okay. So if you look at me standing up here, Is there something more going on than just the thoughts in my head? Is there more to the life that I am than just the voices in my head? So when I look at you, I don't just see a talking head or a talking stream of thoughts. I see a physical being that's full of life, which you would call a soul or a spirit or energy, however you choose to look at that. And our thoughts are a small part of us, but most of us are so consumed by our thoughts and identified with our thoughts. And because most of our thinking is very unhealthy, that means we are the victim of our thoughts, meaning our thoughts hurt us. So for example, let's say I want to tell you something that I feel, but then I have a fear-based thought come up like, he looks pretty tough, he might beat me up if I tell him how I feel. So my fear stops me from telling you how I feel. My fear stopping me from being genuine, from expressing myself, like I said earlier, honestly and kindly, hurts me. My fear that stops me from being true to myself hurts me. So when you feel like saying something or doing something and a fear-based thought stops you, which is a story in your head, or a guilt or shame-based thought or story in your head, you hurt yourself. Does that make sense? Every time you feel something and you want to say it, you want to do something, and you stop yourself because of fear, guilt, or shame, which comes up in the form of a thought, you hurt yourself. Does that make sense? Yep. Okay? So we're all the victim of our limited negative thought patterns. So we have to learn how to take care of our mind. The two primary key ways to do that are, like probably most of you in the room have tried or know or are working on it, is meditation. So I teach a very specific form of meditation, which is what the Buddha taught. I'm not a Buddhist, but in my experience, it's the most effective, simple, and powerful form of meditation on the planet. And I can outline that really briefly for you. It's in my book again. If you're familiar with Vipassana or mindfulness meditation, it's very simple. Let's practice it right now. So if everybody would, just take a nice deep breath through your nose and fill your belly. Just relax. Notice if you're holding any tension. Just a nice, slow, deep breath. And the technique is when your thoughts begin to wander and the voice in your head is active and starts going wherever it's going, in a lot of spiritual traditions we call the mind a wild horse. So when the wild horses start to go or make noise, all you do is say the word thinking in your mind, not out loud. You just say thinking. And so you're objectively labeling the fact that you're thinking. And when you do that, you use that as a cue to bring your attention back to your breathing and your body. So again, I'm going to say the word thinking, and if you would, take a nice deep breath, feel your body. So if you're doing this at home, you could lay in bed, or you could sit in a chair, or sit in a meditation posture. You sit with your eyes closed, and you sit and you breathe, you feel your body, you feel the breath come in, you feel the breath go out. When you notice that you're thinking or talking to yourself, bless you, you say the word thinking and bring your attention back to your breathing and back to your body. Does that make sense? Very simple, okay? So the most important thing to know about that is the key to this, the magical key to this is 10 minutes in the morning. The reason why is because the thoughts you think in the morning create your day. It's a science, it's black and white. So how many people can relate to you wake up in the morning and your thoughts are all over the place? If I use the wild horse analogy, you wake up and you've got a dozen horses off and they're in different directions and you already feel anxious, stressed, and spread thin before you even get out of bed. How many people will relate to that? Right? Okay. So 10 minutes in the morning, either before you get out of bed or if you have to use the restroom, go use the restroom and come back, sit somewhere, lay, and do this practice, and you stop the horses from running, or you let them run and you don't chase them. And you come back to your body and you come back to your breathing. And over time, over that 10 minutes, and if you do it, you can do it longer, and if you do it daily, you just slow down more and more. You don't chase those thoughts. You don't chase those voices in your head first thing. And they're not running the show. What's running the show? The deeper awareness, the deeper consciousness, the deeper presence inside of you that wants to be here now, not in your head, just constantly thinking about the future, getting anxious as you analyze and think about everything, but learning to come back to your breathing and your body. You pause so you can go slower, right? Especially in London, right? We're in this crazy busy city where everybody's constantly on the move, right? This is so important because as soon as you walk out your door, you know you get swept away. It's like a school of fish. You just get swept away into that momentum, right? Into that river. It's like the river's raging out there. You walk out the door, you're swept up in it. So you need to find that center before you walk out the door. And this is the key, 10 minutes in the morning, because the thoughts you think in the morning create your day, which means the thoughts you think in the morning creates your life. Creates your life. So doing this is the only way to master your mind at the core. And I like music meditations, I like energy, chakra visualizations, I like angels, but meditations on angels and energy and music is never going to heal the core of your mind because you have to train it. You have to train your consciousness not to follow that habit you have of running into thoughts about the future and getting stuck in thoughts about the past and getting stuck in thoughts that are full of fear and guilt and shame and insecurity and worry and limitation and negativity. And the key to doing that, thank God, is very simple. Come back to your breathing. Feel your body. So again, while you're sitting here, just take a nice deep breath. Just feel it. It's not that complicated. We're just so stuck in our thinking in our head that we make it complicated and we think it's complicated. So that's one way of taking care of our mind, is a little bit of meditation every morning. Okay? The second way is to learn how to guide your thoughts and choose your thoughts. You might think, well, what does that mean, to guide my thoughts and choose my thoughts? I'll give you an example. I'm going to ask everybody sitting here to think about someone that broke your heart or hurt you. I want you to think about someone who broke your heart or hurt you. Can everybody call someone like that to their mind? Yeah? Notice how that makes you feel. Okay, notice what that does to you. Okay, now call to mind someone you love with all your heart. It can be even a pet. If you have a pet, a family member, a friend, think about somebody you love with all your heart. Can everybody connect to somebody you love? If it's hard for you to connect to a human you love, how about think about your favorite food? What's your favorite food? Is it a burger? Is it pizza? Is it Italian? Is it Greek? What's your favorite food? Can everybody connect to that? And notice how thinking about that changes how you feel. Okay? And you just redirected your focus, your attention, from thinking about something painful to something that you enjoy. Another example. So when you're thinking, nobody likes me, I'm not good enough, the universe hates me, God's abandoned me, everybody fucking sucks, it's a habit of negativity, a habit of thought, a habit of perspective that you have. And it has a momentum, it has inertia. Just like inertia is true in physics with physical objects, inertia is also true in the mind. When you've been thinking a certain way, you've been creating neurological pathways your whole life. So energy, blood, your neurons are used to flowing and firing in a certain direction because you've been thinking that way for a long time. So you think, oh, I can't get out of this, but you can. And you think, oh, I'm not choosing these thoughts, but you don't realize you're allowing them by not redirecting them, okay? So the way you do this is, a good metaphor is, imagine you're driving down the road, okay? You're driving in your lane, and your car, your power steering's off, and you start to drift into oncoming traffic. What are you going to do? What are you going to do if you're drifting into oncoming traffic? You're going to go the other way, right? You're going to redirect. You're going to guide the steering wheel back the other way. So it's the same thing during the day. As your mind starts to go down that negative pathway, you notice that you're in an unhealthy, negative train of thought. you have to redirect your thoughts, and you can. How do you do that? Well, one great way, like we already talked about, is just to come back to your breathing and take some nice deep breaths so you don't get caught up in the thought. That's kind of a neutral position, to just not be so caught up in the thought. But then if you want to redirect towards a healthier, positive thought pattern, okay, there's a few things to focus on. One is, what am I grateful for? Just one thing. For example, like in the morning, if I wake up and I feel a little off, I think, oh, I'm really grateful for my bed. Or while I'm taking my hot shower, I sit there with the hot water on me and I really feel it, and I think, oh, I'm so grateful for my hot shower. Or I use Dr. Bronner's peppermint soap, and I smell that peppermint oil, and I think, oh, I'm so grateful for that peppermint smell. Does that make sense? So one thing, just one thing, okay? Another way to choose to redirect your thought is to think about something that you want, okay? Because think about how much of your day is spent thinking about things you don't want, or things you don't want to happen. You're worrying, thinking, oh, I don't want this to happen, I don't want that to happen, I don't want this to happen, I don't want her to do this, I don't want him to do that, right? And if you've ever heard the saying, worry is a prayer for what you don't want, that's exactly what you're doing. Because when you're constantly thinking about what you don't want, it's like a fishing line. You're saying, I don't want this, because you keep thinking about it, you're just drawing it to you, and you're creating it, because it's all you're thinking about. It's like, if I give my attention to this, this is what I'm giving my attention to. And if this happens to be what I don't want, that's what my life is full of, what I don't want, because that's what I'm giving my attention to. But let's say you represent what I do want. And the more I give you my attention, the more my life is full of what I want. But we get so stuck in these old thought patterns. Okay? Because again, we don't have enough education around this growing up. And then by the time we start to wake up and realize the value of this, we're stressed, we're struggling, we're trying to pay bills, we're looking for love, trying to figure out what to do with our life, and it just all seems a bit overwhelming. Okay, so again, choose a thought that has something to do with what you're grateful for. So can everybody sitting here please think of one thing you're grateful for? One thing. Whether it's this moment, a family member, the roof you have over your head at home, your job. Can everybody think of one thing, just one thing that you're in your heart you're grateful for? Can everybody think of one thing? Yeah? Got one? Okay. And it makes you feel better. And it's about learning to choose that over the alternative. Okay? Now, think of one thought of something you want. It could be peace. It could be happiness. It could be your soulmate. It could be to move somewhere. It could be, I don't know, a pair of shoes you just saw. Whatever it is. Just think of one thing you want. It could just be peace. Everybody got one thing you want? It could be, I don't know, pasta when you leave here. Just one thing. So again, when you're giving thought, energy, and attention to that thing, you're focusing on creating more of what you want, as opposed to being trapped in the thought pattern of focusing on what you don't want. Okay? Now, that's the second one. So there's a thought that you're grateful for, a thought about something you want, and the third one is a thought about something that feels good to you. Okay? So I want everybody sitting here to think about something that feels good to you. Maybe it's sleeping at night. Maybe it's a hot shower. Maybe it's a pedicure. Maybe it's having a walk. Maybe it's spending time with someone you care about. Can you think about one thing that makes you feel well or feel good? Has everybody got one thing? Reading a book. Listening to your favorite music. Everybody got one thing that makes you feel better or feel good? Okay? So that's the third thing. Directing your mental energy, your attention, your focus, your awareness towards things that make you feel good. So something that you're grateful for, something you want, and something that feels good to you, makes you feel better, makes you feel well. So in the morning, for example, if I'm feeling off in the morning, this is my process. I sit there and I breathe. I come to my body and my breathing. If my mind wanders, I come back to my breathing and my body. Then I start to direct my thoughts towards something I'm grateful for, or I get on a roll and I think of all the things I'm really thankful for. And then I think about the things I want in my life. So literally what I'm going to create that day, like today I want to have a great day. Today I want to work on this project I'm working on. Today I want to go to the gym and exercise and take care of my body. Today I want to tick this off my list. So I start thinking about those things that I want to get done, okay, that I want to experience. I think about the things that make me feel good. Typically my morning starts with I want a cup of coffee because that makes me feel good. I love coffee. That's my main vice these days, is my few cups of coffee during the day. So I think about that and I get excited to go get my coffee in the morning, okay? So again, doing that in the morning shifts everything. So if you wake up feeling anxious, overwhelmed, stressed, dreading the day, these 4 things, so a little bit of breathing and meditation, and then thinking those 3 thoughts. What am I grateful for? One thing, even just one. What do I want? What makes me feel well? What makes me feel good to be alive? Okay, and that shifts the energy in you, shifts the energy with which you create your day. How many people have been struggling to love themselves for a while? Okay? And the reason why is because these 4 things have not been clear enough. Can you see how when you don't do these 4 things on a regular basis, you hurt yourself? Can you see how when you do the opposite of these 4 things, so when you keep in what you feel, when you don't act in integrity, so you feel one thing but you do another, when you take no time for yourself and you just please everybody all the time and you're around other people all the time, and when you let your mind wander down the negative rabbit holes it's been wandering down, and you think all those negative thoughts, can you see how when you do those 4 things, you hurt yourself? So what if I told you that those habits of not doing these 4 things are habits that you have learned since you were babies, from mom and dad and from people around you, and you've been doing the same things your whole life, hurting yourself up until today to some degree. And that habit of self-harm, that lack of awareness of how to actually take really good care of yourself, value yourself, and value the miracle of your life in a practical way every day, is the root cause of suffering. The root cause of disease, physical illness, and the root cause of mental and emotional suffering like depression and anxiety. It is the root cause. That's what I outline in the book, and I explain it logically and biologically how disease develops inside the physical body, the heart, and the mind from us not learning how to do those 4 things throughout our whole life. So think about all the years, all the days, of all the weeks, of all the months, of all the years you haven't done those things, and you've been internalizing your feelings, acting in ways to please other people or just to stay secure, and hurting yourself, not taking time for yourself to please other people, meeting the needs of other people, and letting your mind hurt you on a daily basis. Each day that's been causing blood in your body to stagnate. It's been weakening your immune system. It's been creating toxicity inside of you and your life. It's been creating mental and emotional struggles like depression, anxiety, low self-esteem. If I was your brother, and for 60 years I spoke negatively to you, I rejected you, I criticized you, I judged you, I abused you, I locked you in our parents' basement and gave you little crumbs to get by on, would you like me or trust me?
Unlikely.
And think about how you've treated yourself your whole life. Can you see why maybe sometimes you don't like yourself, or you don't trust yourself, or you don't believe in yourself? Because maybe you've hurt yourself a lot, or let yourself get hurt a lot. Does that make sense? And the way to heal it, the key, the only practical key you'll ever find, the real deal, no bullshit, not imagining light and hoping your life is going to get fixed, is these 4 things. Has anybody ever tried looking in a mirror and saying I love you or doing affirmations? Yeah? And have you gotten the response from your subconscious like, no you don't, you're full of shit? Yeah? And the reason why is, because think about this, if in all of your life, all the major situations and relationships, you're betraying yourself, you're hurting yourself, you're criticizing yourself, you're rejecting yourself, and then you go and you look in the mirror and you say, Blake, I love you, of course your subconscious is going to go, no you don't, you're full of shit, you're treating me horribly. So you know this deep down. I imagine there's something like really practical and natural that's starting to make sense to you, hopefully, from this talk. And again, we only have so much time, and it's loaded, but you can't heal your life or change your life in the past, and you can't do it in the future. It's always in the present. And the 4 keys to doing it in the present are the 4 things you wrote down and that you heard tonight. And my promise to you is that you could read every single book in this whole bookstore, and that these 4 will remain the keys to actually being healthy and happy and fulfilled and having good relationships. If you don't do these 4 things, you can't have what you want. Because that's how you love yourself. And that's how you become capable of loving other people.
Like if you've been in chronic pain like for several years, any insights into that?
Yeah, well, it's from, again, not doing these 4 things. So you got to start doing these 4 things every day to keep your energy, blood, and immune system flowing in a better way. And then I teach something called qigong, which is very effective for chronic pain. And it unlocks stuck blood, stuck energy, and stuck emotion.
Do you do courses in London?
I'm doing a workshop on Thursday at the College of Psychic Studies. But if you can't make it, I have a 2-hour DVD that has helped thousands of people, and they sell them at the front desk while I'm in town at the college. So stop by. It's in South Kensington, and pick one up. It's over 2 hours. I take you through every joint in the body, and we unlock the stuck blood, the stuck energy, and the stuck emotion that's stuck in that part of the body, which is causing the pain. So that's kind of my secret recipe, is qigong, meditation, and this practical how do you love yourself.